Hi, I'm Sam, your resident fantasy reader,
And I'm Morgan, your romance reader, and we welcome you to Just One More Page.
where it's never just one more page. Bam!
Hello.
Why is your line like flying and mine's like...
Because I'm the fast one. I'm like Lightning McQueen. Talking about Lightning McQueen, I'm sorry, this is random. But like, there's this guy who I work with, and our building has like a couple floors, or at least just one floor really, but like he'll run down the stairs. Like, Sam, I'm telling you, he like flies down the stairs.
Oh, Jesus.
And so one time he was running down the stairs, and I looked at my friend and I was like, "Ka-chow." Thankfully, like he didn't hear it, but because I was thinking it. But like I like almost, well, like I was like, I said it under my breath, and I was like, thank God I didn't say it out loud, because I was like really trying not to say it like really loud, because sometimes my mouth gets ahead of me. But how is your week going, Sam?
I'm so glad it's done. It's been crazy. Work's been crazy. So my admissions person is going, everyone keeps saying he's going on vacation. He's getting his knee, getting surgery on his knee. Lord, please let him not end up on my rehab, because but he's filled this in so that way, like, while he's on like leave to heal from his newly surgeryized knees, um like, as we like, it will be full, so he won't have to worry about getting more people in. And so as we discharge them, we'll still have a high census. But the thing about it is, he put them all in our facility at once. And the thing about rehab is, like, as people come in, they generally go out at the same time. So like, if 4 people came in, generally those same 4 people will go out about the exact same time, like discharge. So he just brought like 10 people into our facility in a week and a half. And I was like, friend, all 10 people are probably going to go out in like 3 weeks, because they're going to be done with rehab and they're going to go on their merry way. And then our census is going to be low. You need to stagger that shit.
Oh, that stinks.
So
Hopefully it won't be too overwhelming.
it's just, it's not that bad. It's just a lot of paperwork, and you're just like, your brain's just like mush, because then people ask you questions and I'm like, was it the person who went to 20 or 21 who had a sore where? I don't know. I'm confused.
Well, this week has been, I just feel like this week has been crazy, like upside down. Like, I think that it's weird to not talk about this, just because everything is on fire. It's like,
Everything
that
is on
meme in
fire.
which you walk into the room and like this guy's holding like pizza and everything's on fire. That's how I feel about America right now. Everything's on fire.
Everything's on fire. Nobody knows what they're doing.
Yes, I just like feel like my heart goes out to the parents, the family, and like all of Nashville to deal with that shooting, and it's like horrible. And like, I feel honestly really heartbroken. I mean, I feel like every, like, I don't know if we can say that on Spotify, talk about certain words on Spotify. I don't know if they'll like get mad at us, but what happened in Nashville happens a lot, and it's upsetting and it's frustrating. And rather than the government focusing on that aspect, they're more focusing on challenging trans rights or banning books or else trying to ban TikTok. Like, it's just really sad. And I just want to say real quick that my hearts go out to the people affected. Listen, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to move out of the United States.
Yeah, I was gonna say out of the country.
Yeah,
Like, literally, Derek texted me and was like, "We're gonna be homeschooling Clayton."
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, listen, things need to change. It's frustrating. It's annoying. I think there's a TikTok going around where this guy, they were talking about gun laws, and one person was like, we need to protect our kids. I'm not gonna say who she is, because I absolutely do not like her, but she was saying like, we need to protect our kids. We need to have the same sort of security that we do have for our president. And this guy, one of the representatives, was like, no, like, the good guys came, people still died. And he was like, you want to know what? You're all so concerned about banning books, but dead kids can't read. And I was like, yes, 100% agree.
I saw this teacher. She was doing like slam poetry or whatever, in regards to the school shootings, and how they're like limiting teachers' abilities to teach the kids, but they're willing to arm the teachers and everything. And she said 46 minutes for Uvalde and 14 minutes for Nashville. That's how long it took the police to show up.
Yeah.
The police shouldn't have to show up. That these things should not be happening. We are the only country who deals with these mass shootings on this scale for schools, pretty much in the entire world.
Yeah, because I think, like,
Like,
in the top 3, causes of death in children, it's gun violence, and that's absolutely uncalled for, and it's really sad, and, like, I mean, I know where I'm from, there has been incidents of people bringing stuff into schools. I just wanted to bring it up because I felt weird starting this without really talking about, like, what's going on in the world, because I feel like if we don't and we have a platform, it's very ignorant of ourselves. But
mhm.
anyways, on to happier news. Sam, do you want your Clayton update?
Oh my gosh. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so your Clayton update. So he is as big as a cauliflower,
Oh
which
gosh.
I don't like cauliflower. Also, have
I
you ever
don't
had
mind.
cauliflower rice before?
Yeah, it's not the same, but I like
Uh,
cauliflower.
well, so there's also cauliflower pizza, and I am like,
Mm.
that is
I
disrespectful.
I like cauliflower pizza. You just have to overcook it just a little bit. If you want to get a good
Uh-uh.
texture for it, like however long it takes to cook it like an extra 4 to 5 minutes.
My ancestors would spat on me. No, thank you.
Well,
Pizza deserves gluten.
listen,
Okay?
listen. I could eat an entire cauliflower pizza and not feel bad about myself
Yeah,
because
but
it's
it
like
still has
400
calories.
calories.
Just
Yeah,
yes.
it's like 400 calories versus like 1,200.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
I'd
mean,
rather just eat the gluten and die early. It's fine. Okay, so your 90s and 80s toy is Mr. Potato Head.
okay, I can see it. I
Yeah,
can see
I
because this child is literally like bouncing from one side of my belly to the other,
yeah.
like all night long, and it's fine. I've gotten you like after a while, it's weird, but after a while, you kind of just like learn to tune it out. Otherwise, you're just gonna be up all night. He hasn't kicked me in the ribs or anything yet, so we haven't gotten that far. But yeah, I can see it.
I love Mr. Potato Head. I think I mostly love it because I love Mr. Potato Head and Toy Story, and
Hmm.
so I have a strong love for that character. So when I saw that popped up, I was like, "Ooh, awesome." Like, I love that. But another thing though, and I find this so funny because this is my new obsession because, like,
Hmm.
I hyperfixate on food, and my hyperfixation is of this thing right now. Can you guess what it is for the snacks? For the how big he is as like a snack or a snack item?
No,
No, you can't guess.
no.
So he's big as a gallon of ice cream.
Oh gosh,
I love ice cream. I've been
me
recently
too.
eating Jenny's, which is this brand. It's very expensive. For guess how much it is for a pint?
Didn't you say it was like $7,
Uh-uh. It's
$11?
It's 8.29.
Ugh.
$8, but it's the best ice cream. And listen, sometimes I need to eat it. Like one day I had a really bad day at work, and I literally got it and got into the car and just started eating it.
Mm.
Because like I deserve this right now. I had a rough day at work, but Jenny's fantastic and I love it and it's so good. But anyways, this week we're going to be reading this really interesting book, which is called Made of Stars by Jenna Voris. And this is actually her debut novel. This is a young adult science fiction novel that is inspired by Bonnie and Clyde, but add a little space into it, just sprinkle it in. And this story follows Shane and Ava, who are a team. Now, Shane steals the aircraft and Ava charms the marks, and together they get what they need. And then we also have Cyrus, who just graduated from the flight academy and is given a new assignment with the annoying Lark. But things change for our characters when Shane uncovers a top secret plot that would leave his home to the planet to the mercy of Cyrus's military leaders. He makes it a mission to stop that from happening, which causes Ava and Shane to become interstellar criminals. When Cyrus crashes into the rebels, literally crashes, he has to pick a side fast before Ava and Shane brings the planets to its knees or die trying. And now I do want to give some trigger warnings about this book before we get into it. This book does have weapons in it, gore, death, and it doesn't really talk about it, but it does have post traumatic stress in it. So, Sam,
Yep.
listen, I'm excited to hear what you think about it because you kind of ranted a little bit before we started the podcast. So I don't really think you have a great opinion about this book. So
No,
I'm curious.
I don't. I feel like too many moving parts, not enough clarification. Because it, like, so I listened to the audiobook and I feel like it took me a while to like when it swapped from like one character to another because this is all done in third person. Just by the way, like this whole book is done in third person, so it's not very clear a lot of times like who the characters involved are. So it was like you were listening to Ava and Shane's point of view, and then next thing you knew, Cyrus like popped up, and you didn't know where you were or what was going on or what was happening. And then I feel like there was like the action scenes weren't very clear as to what was going on. A lot of the characters motives or like what they were doing didn't make too much sense. It was really hard to kind of follow the politics that was going on in this book, so it was just a lot that was happening all at once with nothing that wasn't really like, I don't really feel like it was clearly explained a lot of times, and you had to kind of figure it out as you were going. And I'm saying this as a fantasy reader, and that kind of stuff happens all the time, but you usually have more time with it to figure it out versus this being a much shorter book. It's very condensed, and I also feel like too this is not a standalone because I don't feel
Well,
like the story
I
was completed.
I looked it up and I don't know if it's a standalone because like usually on Goodreads you can click a thing and it'll be like number
Yeah.
1 of the blah 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 series. But when I looked, there was nothing like that. She does have another book coming out next year. There's no information on it or cover art, obviously. So I'm curious and seeing if it's gonna be another book, but it's not gonna. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like,
went to go look for it too because like you said, it usually says like book one of this series, and I looked on Barnes and Noble, I looked on Goodread, I looked on a bunch of different places because I was like, there's no way that was the ending. Like, I
uh,
feel like nothing got solved.
oh yeah, yeah, I completely agree. What did you rate this book?
Three stars.
Okay, so I rated it a little bit higher. So I rated it at 4 stars because I felt like I like the characters. Like I felt like there was strong characters for some things. There was a little bit of growth in the plot line, although I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of times where it was quite boring. And I think I text you and saying like, I don't know why, but this book feels like it's dragging a little bit,
Hmm.
especially in the beginning. Like I would look at my phone and be like, why do I still have like 4 hours to go? Like, can we
Yeah.
please hurry up? Like I don't like I felt like I've been listening to this book for like 8 hours, but it's only been like an hour. So that's not really a good sign to me. This book is also marketed as Bonnie and Clyde, and to be honest, I don't quite see it. Though
Yeah.
then again, I only know Bonnie and Clyde from like small clips, also from like seeing them in like their movie and stuff like that, but I have never really like done a lot of research about them. But I kind of always viewed Clyde as someone who was like unkind, cold, and like Bonnie, I always viewed as someone who was like not very sane, I guess, especially because like I've read some of her poetry before. So she just didn't really seem like the best person in the world. I mean, obviously they unalived a ton of people, but I
Yeah.
when I think about Shane and Ava, I really don't see them as Bonnie and Clyde. I view them more as Robin Hood because Shane and Ava did what they could do and gave their money to their families or give supplies to their families or to people on their planet. They weren't just like doing this because they're evil because it brings them fun or whatever. They were doing it because they had to do it.
Yeah. They were less like, so Bonnie and Clyde were criminals,
Yeah,
like
yeah, I know.
down to the core. But like these guys, like you said, was like Robin Hood. They're more vigilantes.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that's why when they said Bonnie and Clyde, I'm like, I don't really quite see it. And although like Shane is because then you know how before I said that I viewed Clyde as someone unkind. You could say the same for Shane, but I believe that Shane dealing with a lot. That he has like post traumatic stress from being in prison, and that he is just dealing with a lot. And you can see it
Yeah.
throughout the whole story of him dealing with these issues. And I'll talk more about it in our spoiler section. But I just kind of felt like it wasn't exactly what I expected. I thought that this book was going to be having more action in it and just a different story at all. But I guess it was kind of nice too getting Cyrus's side of the story, because Cyrus is another character, and I wasn't lost with the different points of view, because usually I don't like different points of view. This one I didn't really quite mind, although I did feel like it took away from developing some characters further than what they should be, and
Yeah.
like I felt like some characters just like didn't get that development. But I think that if you want morally gray characters, like space action, a little bit of action, not a lot, then check it out. And I'll warn you, there are going to be parts in which you're going to be very sad, because I'm stupid and I should have realized stuff is going to happen. But yeah, I rated it 4 stars. Like actually 3.5, 4 stars. Just because towards the end of the book, I did enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah. I'm still sticking with my 3.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe 3.5. I can give it a little bit of like a benefit of the doubt, but like, yeah, no, 3.
Well, that's okay. Let's see why we disagree and go into our spoiler section. So this is our spoiler section. If you would like to continue, please do so. If not, check out our other episodes and let's go. So Sam, why
Hmm.
like okay. Let me just say right quick.
Okay.
You would think that I would understand where this
Yeah.
book was heading to. You would think I'd be like, "Oh, Bonnie and Clyde. They died, you know,
Hmm.
you think I would be like, "Oh, I know where it's go." No, Sam, I was stupid. I was like, "Oh, they're gonna survive, it's fine, they're gonna, like there's gonna be a conclusion. There's gonna be an ending to this book." But, like, the ending destroyed me, and, like, it just annoyed me because like, I honestly thought like, a small part of me thought that they were gonna live and they were gonna expose what was going on with opium soldiers, like, and with that kinda, like, government, but nope, nothing happened, and it's really frustrating because, like, I felt like it it didn't like you said, it didn't give a conclusion to the book, even though I kinda understand why the writer did that because it was supposed to be a Bonnie and Clyde retelling, even though I don't really quite see it like that because, once
Mm.
again, I feel like it's more like Robin Hood. But also, do you think it's kinda weird that everyone like, went to go view their bodies after they died?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, when I saw that part, I was like, "This is a little bit morbid." I really don't know how I feel about that. But also on top of that, I wanted more from the ending, and, like, I like the fact that Cyrus finally realized, like, "I can't do this anymore. I'm not like, you've taken away my best friend. You've you attacked someone that wasn't doing anything, and
Mm.
he's like, I'm done. But I really wanted I want a second book because I want to know how Jordan, who by the way, Jordan is the all-star of this book. I love Jordan, okay? He's
Yeah.
fantastic. And when I was reading scenes in which they were getting attacked and Henry died, which by the way, traumatizing. I was like, oh my god, if anything happens to Jordan, I'm gonna riot. As I'm like smashing my hitting my desk. But anyways, I am glad that he lived, but I would love to have a second book in which we know more about like how he's dealing with the guilt because he's the reason why his friends died. But
Right.
do you think the ending did you like the ending, or do you not like the fact that it didn't give us a clear like insight of really where it was going or
I
anything
did
got tied up?
I feel like there was like way too many loose ends going on. So like the issues on Makara and the issues with West Rama are still going on. The general really didn't have that many consequences because yeah, Cyrus outed her, but like he outed her to a very like small group of people and it hasn't like gone to the world. And it's like the problems are still the problems even though like we know the truth, like there's still issues. Where do we go from here? Are you going to be able to show that General Narth is manipulative and that she caused all these issues? Are like is West Rama going to be able to get out from underneath the Opium soldiers ruling and like what's going on with the caving system and what's going on like they're the ones who I feel like they're District 12 of the Hunger Games. They're the miners. The problems are still there. Like they were never solved. So I feel like there was really no conclusion to the book other than we know that General Narth knew everything that was going on and was playing Cyrus for a fool, basically. and killed his like best friend, and then there was like a little bit of like a love-ish story between him and Lark, but like nothing really got super fleshed out, and I was just like I wanted more out of this than
Yeah.
what we got.
I like listen, I'm not a fan of open endings. I wanna know what happens. I wanna know where it's gonna go. I didn't spend, like, 5 hours of the book listening to it or reading a book for me to not get a good conclusion. I don't care me making up my own opinions about the ending. I don't need to know, okay? I mean, I don't need to make up my own imagine use my own imagination. I need you to tell me, okay? But the whole Lark and, Cyrus thing, I feel like it's really funny for me because when I started the book, I was like, "Wow, do they have some chemistry?" And I was like, "No, Morgan, you cannot think every character, every guys is gay. Like, come on, get out of that mindset. They're not gay. They're just friends, okay?" And then, like, afterwards, they're in the meeting and, Cyrus, like, moves his, like, leg closer or no, Lark moves his leg closer to Cyrus, and I'm like, "What? Are you okay, okay. I listen, I'm there for it. I love it." But I was, like, a little bit frustrated because I felt like I wanted more scenes of them together. Also, I don't really like the fact that we really didn't get a good character arc with Lark because we're told in the beginning, like, oh, he's, like, from a very, very powerful family, and he's kinda, like, rude, and I don't like, Cyrus doesn't really like him, and then eventually, like, when he gets back after being picked up in the desert, Lark kinda starts to change a little bit, but, like, I
Mm,
felt like it would've been better if he had a better character arc, and I also am so upset. This is a hate crime, the fact that we didn't get any romantic scenes of them together towards the end of the book, and I was like, "How dare you?" But the part in which, like, Cyrus is leaving because once again, he is done. He's taking Jared and Clara out of prison and they're escaping and he runs into Cyrus. Not Cyrus, I'm sorry. He runs into Lark and Lark is like, I'm supposed to be watching you. Don't leave. Cyrus is like, I have to leave. And then he kisses him and he's like, go with me. And you can see that Lark, he wants to go, but because of his family and because this is all he knows, he can't go. And that part of the book made me cry a little bit. I teared up a little bit. I don't know if it's because, like, I when I was reading this book, I was, like, lacking some sleep, but, like,
mm.
I honestly was, like, super, like, kinda sad about it. And I don't know, what do you think happened afterwards? Do you think that Lark and him eventually are gonna get back in contact? Or do you think that Lark will be severely punished for losing Cyrus? What do you think is gonna happen?
I mean, you could go tragedy and say that one of them's going to die because
No.
General Narth had no issue killing Cornelia, and it wasn't until the end that we find out that she's the one who like sacrificed all of those people. So like Narth knows a lot more than she lets on that she knows. Like she's very manipulative, so I don't think it would be anything for her to set Lark up into a position where he ends up getting killed.
Yeah. Well, I also kind of feel like it's different though because Clara came from a poor planet, very very poor. While Lark is very much has influence.
Yeah,
He comes from a very powerful family. His name's on part of the building, so I don't think he's
yeah,
gonna die. If anything, I think he's gonna get arrested. Like if
but I
anything,
mean, how like just desserts would it be? Because Narth set up Cornelia to die so they could put it on Ava and Shane. So why not set it up to where Lark dies and put it on Cyrus, who was the valedictorian of his class, and now he's with the enemy, and he is now taken out the son of this very affluential
mm-mm.
family to start a war.
Listen, Sam, I have enough sadness in my life. I do not need to think about Lark dying. In my head, what's going to happen is that Lark's going to get arrested and then Cyrus is going to come save him. But then again, we don't know because this book was ended in a very open way and it makes me upset because I'm like, I want more, like, I want to know what's going to happen. And so I'm hoping the
Right?
next book she's going to come out has to do with that. But if not, I might write her a letter and be like, tell me.
Right? Just tell us just in your head, how did it finish? Because like Makara is still under the Opium soldiers ruling, and the dreadnoughts or whatever, I don't really understand. I don't really read a lot of like space books, but like the dreadnoughts are still, and the military vehicles are still all over the planet, and they're still blocking communications to the outside other systems, and nobody knows what's happening, and this poor planet is just like floundering, and all for the sake of like this like material that they all consider very valuable. Like I don't know. There's
Well, also,
there's open endings, and then there's too much that's open.
yeah, exactly. And then another issue I had with this book, though, and I don't know about you, is that I felt very confused with the world building, and I felt
Hmm.
like the writer could have done a little bit better with that. I felt like it was hard to grasp like the world since we really didn't even know how many planets there were. Also, on top of that, like there wasn't really any different species. Like, yes, Shane had like different, like looked different because of the fact that the planet he lived on doesn't really get a lot of sunlight, but like
Hmm.
I can't assume that every single character looks like a human.
And you
And
know what also was like weirdly not
mhm,
explained very well, but you
mhm.
kind of had to figure it out, was that they all spoke different languages, because everyone like it was like, oh, they said it in Opian, oh, they said it in Makaran, but it wasn't for a while did you know that like they all spoke different languages and had to like translate to talk to each other, until maybe like the halfway to like almost like the last quarter of the book, where they like, oh, well, you have to translate it because it's not in a language I read. But I'm like, you all are talking to each other. How are you talking to each other?
Yeah, yeah. No, it like it was so confusing because like I do agree. Like I don't think I didn't understand until like at the end of the book that they were all talking different languages. And I was like, oh, that's how, okay. Like yeah. So I felt like the writer could have done better with like world building and explaining stuff. And maybe that's because like there was more other things like the writer could have like wanted to focus on. Like I think that the fact that the writer wrote about PTSD and the trauma that Shane dealt with being in
Hmm.
jail was interesting. And I felt like it did add a lot to the book, especially because it's realistic. If you're gonna go into something traumatic as going into that jail in which dog eat dog world there,
Yeah.
and he had to unalive someone. Um, and like somewhere where I read, because I was doing some research about Bonnie and Clyde before we recorded, Clyde actually went to prison. Obviously, he went to prison because he obviously was not a good person, but he went to
Hmm.
prison and he was afraid of getting transferred to a worse prison. So, do you want to know what he did, Sam?
What?
He or someone else, because it's never really disclosed, took an axe and cut off some of his toes. And then do you wanna know what happened?
What?
6 days later, he was released.
Oh shit.
And he was gonna be released 6 days like, that like, it was already in paperwork that he was gonna be released in 6 days, and he was just like, "I'm not going to other prison," and he's like, and then you're like, Bestie, that's a little bit overly dramatic, you don't
Yeah.
have to do like, that's something."
Disabled himself.
Yeah, well, to the point where he couldn't even drive a car anymore. But did you think that the book displayed and portrayed PTSD well, or do you think that this is something that didn't need to be in the book? What did you think about that kind of like concept?
Um, I feel like the PTSD didn't play as big of a role as it should have. A lot of times with PTSD, like it shows through the person's whole personality, and it really didn't show up as much as I thought it would, honestly. It
Hmm.
was like when Ava first showed up on the TV screen or whatever, and he was like, you're not gonna end up going to jail too. But then they like just went and did all their heists and stuff. But then it was like every once in a while it would throw in like him trying to protect Ava from having to go back to that place. But he had no problem like putting a gun to somebody or threatening their lives and everything. But you would think that if like he was traumatized that much about taking someone's life, that he wouldn't like want to do it again.
I don't think he was traumatized. I think that he was unhinged, and I think that he desperately did not want to go back to prison. If you like throughout the book, he keeps saying to himself, "I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go back." Like that is his mindset that he is not going to go back. Like he doesn't care if he's going to burn the whole world down. He's not going to go back to that place, and Ava is definitely not going to go back with him. So, I think that it made sense to have it in the book, but it made the book a lot darker in some ways because like I was
Mhm.
expecting like, yeah, fun heist, like adventure, like they're gonna rob some banks, like it's gonna be a fun time. Instead, all I got was trauma. So I was like, no, thank you, I don't want it.
It sounds like
Um,
being adults. We were here for a fun time, and all we got was trauma.
exactly. All I got was anxiety. Listen. Oh my gosh. So another thing that I wasn't a huge fan of in the book, or what I was disappointed in, was the fact that there was no action. I mean, there was action, but there wasn't action like the action I wanted. So
Yeah.
when we start the book, immediately, Shane is getting, like, taken out of prison. I think it's, like, in one chapter, he escapes prison, and it's just like, why? Like, I was, like, looking forward to this prison break, I thought it was gonna be, like, a super complex thing. Nope, she just goes and she, like, flashes him, and she's like, "Here's a gun," and then, like,
Right.
he shoots himself out, which, like, I guess was exciting in some ways, but, like, I was just like, "No, I wanted more action," and I thought it was gonna be more like, the book was gonna be more stuff about them, like, doing this big heist and then them having to like solve this crime and it's going to be like
Mhm.
found family because like I've read this series called Aurora Rising and it has to do in space and they have to do they're not doing a heist but they have to like break into certain places sometimes
Mhm.
and there's like a lot of planning and like it's a lot of like fun banter and they break into places and it's like a fun book that I absolutely really enjoy. So I thought this book was going to be the same thing as that. And so when the fact that we really didn't get a lot of like this fun banter, I mean there was some funny parts, but like fun banter of them like going to heist and like I guess it just wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I also too like the time jumps were weird, and it was like they all of a sudden were stealing off these ships and just knew how to get the passwords, and the some of the action that we did get like really didn't make any sense. It was just like, oh, all this crap happened and then somehow they got out. Like I was having a really hard time following like the actiony points that were happening.
Mhm. Also, the fact that no one tell them about why, like, Shane was going crazy and trying to, like, break into places? Did his team know? I can't remember. I know Ava did Ava know? I can't remember.
I don't know. I can't remember either.
'Cause I felt like maybe, like, some of their people on their team didn't know what was happening. Also, the random characters that were added in, like Aries, Henry, Clara, like, it felt frustrating because it felt like I really didn't know the characters very
They
well,
just
and
appeared.
they just appeared, and I'm like, "No." Like, I wanted found family. I wanted, like, adventure. I wanted action, and I didn't want trauma, and that's what we got, and I get it. Bonnie and Clyde is a very, very not great story, and also, I do feel like it's kinda weird when people, like, base stories off of true events. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know. I get, like, because those are real people. Like, those were real people that cause a lot of harm. Although
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know when Bonnie and Clyde happened. Like,
the Great Depression.
okay, so obviously it's been a while, but,
It's been a
like
little while.
but, like, still, it's just weird to think about. Um, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about, or would you like to go into our final thoughts, Sam?
We can go into final thoughts. I think I've said what I need to say.
Oh, okay. So my final thoughts on this was that I did enjoy the story. You know, that's the thing. It's like towards the end of it, I did really enjoy it, and that's why I gave it half a star. But I felt like it was very slow at the start, and maybe because it was hard for me to get into the book with like the many different points of view. But then once I did, I really did enjoy it. And, you know, once again, I wanted a more solid ending, and I was very quite frustrated with the fact that there wasn't any heist, action, or found family trope, which I absolutely love to read. And I don't know, I guess I wanted more action, and I was very upset with the lack of ending and the lack of conclusion. And I really hope there's a second book because I want to see what happens with Lark and Cyrus. And if he is dead, Sam, I'm just gonna riot. I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna be very upset. No. But
Yeah.
what's your final thought, Sam?
Okay, so overall, in the beginning, I actually like was enjoying this book, even though I was a little bit confused about what was going on and the fact like all these characters just kind of appeared. How it had started with like Ava going into the jail and flirting with the guards and everything, kind of like setting up their personalities and everything. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of like banter between the two, and they're very like sneaky and a lot of like flirting and antics and whatnot to like steal and stuff. And then it just kind of got chaotic. And the multiple times that Cyrus had the ability to take these guys down and then it just didn't happen was kind of frustrating. And then I don't know, his motives to help made sense, but at the same time, like he was not very good at hiding his motives and hiding his antics. And Narth was his little puppet master, and that was annoying. And she didn't get what she wanted, or she didn't get what she deserved. And I
Yeah.
I'm all for open endings of like what's going to happen next from here, but I would like a little bit of conclusion too, as to like maybe a jumping point of we have an idea of where they're working toward, and then we can kind of figure it out from the end. But I feel like it was almost too open.
Yeah, I completely agree. But hopefully next week, the book we read will have some conclusion. So the book that we're going to be reading next week is going to be Not Here to Stay Friends by Caitlin Hill. This is a young adult contemporary novel from a writer that we actually have read before. And the book that we read from this writer before was called Love from Scratch. And we
Hmm.
talked about it in episode 14, which is crazy to think about. Episode 14, Sam, we're in our like what, 60s? Like
Yeah.
that's like crazy. I can't even, I have no words. That's crazy to think about the fact that we're here now. And like a year ago, we were reading a book. Like that was episode 14. I'm sorry. I'm like thinking about it and it's just crazy to me. But, anyways, this book is a friends to lover romance novel that follows Sloane, who has just landed in LA to spend time with her childhood friend Liam for the summer. But Liam is working on his father's new reality dating show that is focused around Aspen Woods, who is Sloane's celebrity crush. Due to a contestant dropping out, Sloane is asked to join the show, looking at it as an opportunity to spend time with Sloane and get close to her celebrity crush. She agrees. But as the show starts, Sloane realizes that not everything is what it seems, and instead of crushing on Aspen, she can't stop thinking about Liam. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of Love from Scratch. I absolutely was not. Oh, I didn't like it. So I'm hoping that this book would be different. Also, if you're wondering why did we choose a book from a writer we didn't really enjoy, well, the answer is I just saw the cover. And I was like, Sam, this is a cute cover. Let's read it. And then when
You
I
know
was
what? Like I'm all for giving authors a second chance. So hopefully we like this one.
hopefully, let's only hope. So, yeah. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you guys did enjoy it, please feel free to rate us on Spotify because that really does help boost our podcast out there. And also feel free to follow us on anywheres where you can find a podcast, such as Spotify, Apple, and Audible and stuff like that. And then Sam will tell you about the rest of our socials.
All right, so TikTok hasn't been banned yet, so we're still on there. So you can find us on TikTok. We are Just One More Page podcast, and then for all the pictures and wonderful stories and stuff, you can find us on Instagram. We are Just One More Page official. So go ahead and check us out, follow us, slide into our DMs, tell us what you think about the books that we talk about. If you have the same opinions, different opinions, like we like talking to y'all. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, go ahead and follow us on there. I hope nobody got horribly fooled this weekend because it's April. Oh my gosh,
Boo.
where is the year going? But we hope you all have a fabulous Sunday, and we will talk to you all next week.
Okay,
Yeah,
bye.
bye.